Hey there, this is Brittany from Just Be Crafty. In this video, I will be showing you how to make a crocheted rose. This tutorial is part of my Crochet Spring Floral Wreath pattern. I also have videos for all the other wreath components, which include another flower type, leaves, foliage spirals, and the wreath form that all attach together to form the wreath. I'll have those videos linked in the description box below. For the complete list of materials and written pattern for this particular piece, as well as the complete information on the entire wreath project, please see the link to my blog post that is also in the description box below. Before we get started, I want to take the time to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and to hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I post a new tutorial. I post new patterns on Tuesdays and new stitch techniques every Friday, so you definitely don't want to miss out. So now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Grab your yarn and a crochet hook. I will have the exact materials I'm using linked in the description box below. So I'm actually going to show you at the end what it will look like with a larger crochet hook, just so you can see the difference in size that you get just from changing your crochet hook. So start with a slip knot and a long tail, and put your slip knot onto your crochet hook. And we're going to begin by chaining 23. Okay, so now we have our 23 chains, and you might just want to do a quick recount, make sure you have the right amount of chains. And starting in the 4th chain from our hook, we're going to double crochet. And then make another double crochet into that same chain. We're going to slip stitch into the next chain, and then we're going to make 3 double crochets into the next chain. In the next chain, we're going to slip stitch. And these clusters of 3 double crochets are really what are going to form the petals of our rose. So we're just going to keep repeating this across the row. In our next stitch, we're going to do 3 double crochets. And then in the next stitch, we're going to slip stitch. So keep repeating this until you get to the end of the row. Okay, so we're just at the end of the row, and we're ending with our slip stitch. So that was the end of row 1. So see how it's kind of creating a spiral? That's exactly what we want. So now we're ready to begin row 2, and we're going to turn our work. Begin row 1 by chaining 1, and we're going to slip stitch into that very first stitch. So slip stitch into that first stitch, And then in the next stitch, we're going to double crochet. So double crochet into that next stitch. And then in the stitch after that, we're going to place 2 double crochets. Place 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And then slip stitch into the next stitch. In the next stitch, you'll make 1 double crochet. In the stitch after that, you'll make 2 double crochets into that same stitch. Make 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And slip stitch into the next stitch. Keep repeating that same process until you get to the end of the row. And now we're almost to the end of the row. We're just placing our last couple double crochets. And our last double crochet will go into that top chain from the previous row. And now we're done crocheting our rows, so you can cut your yarn, leaving a long tail. And pull your tail through the loop on your hook and pull tight to secure. And so now it's time to shape our flower. So it kind of already is in a little bit of a spiral form already, so you just kind of want to start with one of your ends and just wrap your spiral around the starting end of your flower in a way that forms a rose shape. There's really no right or wrong way to do this, but just kind of do it as I'm showing you in the video, and you'll end up with a really pretty flower. And so once you get the shape that you want, you're going to take your yarn needle and thread it through the center tail. Starting from the back of your work, begin to stitch your flower in place. So as you stitch, you want to make sure that you're grabbing multiple rows at a time so that way you're securing your flower. Stitch back and forth until you feel that your flower is sufficiently secure and in the shape that you want it. Once you have your flower nice and secure, you can take your other tail, thread that through the yarn needle, and secure that to the main portion of your flower as well. And now once we get that second tail secure, I like to turn my flower over and just kind of weave that tail in towards the center of our flower. And then once we get both tails in the center, then I just like to knot those two tails together to further secure the flower. So now I'm just knotting my ends to secure. And then I'm going to just trim my tails, keeping them long, but just trimming them to make them even. And that completes my crochet flower. And I just wanted to show you an example of what it looks like if you use a larger hook. So for the two pink flowers I'm showing, I used a larger hook, a 8mm, and as you can see, the flowers turned out much bigger. So I really hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you do, please let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and would like to, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you never miss a new tutorial. I come out with new patterns on Tuesdays and new stitch techniques on Fridays, so you definitely don't want to miss out. Thank you so much for crocheting with me. Bye!